women suffer in silence most of the time because we are generally raised to figure it out, right? I got reduced to doing, maybe reduced is a tough word, but reduced to doing admin work from the data analytics work that I was doing at the time. And that, I think, was the first introduction to gender economics, gender equality, and biases. When CEOs step into a new environment, they bring their boys. They will laugh at your mistakes. But for us, we want to be perfect about everything, and we want to show up as perfect. You still want to fulfill your homemaking experience. You still want to be present for your children. And if you're married to your partner, you want to be committed to community as well. But on the other side, my husband got a promotion. He got an increase in his pay. And I was like, it must be nice to be a man, right?
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Colourful, a space for honest conversation, meaningful connection and bold celebration. My name is Senamile Zungu, joined today by my best friend Stacy, Jayne. And today's episode is special, not just because of the conversation we're about to have, but because of where we are. We are in the Glamorizta showroom and in Four Ways, and this brand is really a space where they're reimagining luxury, not just housing it, and we are so excited to be here.
We are so excited. In fact, when we first met the co-founders, Ahilia and Catherine, we walked through the space and we felt there was something magical about it. It was personal and intentional and left us feeling totally glamorous and so confident. And as we walked out, we thought, imagine if we could shoot one day in this as a studio. So fast forward to today, and here we are coming to you live from the Glamorizta studio in Four Ways, joined by an incredible guest, somebody that we've come to know over time, somebody we have so much respect for, a mentor, a leader, an economist, and most recently, a Mrs. South Africa semi-finalist. Khanyisa Phika, it is so good to have you here with us in Glamorista's so-called studio.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies. I'm so excited.
I can't believe we made this happen. It's so good.
Like, finally, we always have like a dream guest since we started Colourful back in 2024. And I think you were even on our list even before we actually formally met you. So this is a long time coming.
I am so thrilled. I couldn't stop smiling. When I got your SMS, I was like, oh my gosh.
Sorry, do you still get SMSs?
Well, it was a WhatsApp. That's how old I am. It's a text.
So, right here next to this Hermes bag, I have a bottle of red nail polish, and I know you know what's coming next. So we are going to ask you to paint one hand of nails red. Senna, let's show. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Why red? It's because it's bold, it's courageous. It's the kind of conversations with like celebration, and it's kind of like you can't ignore the fact that we're here. And so that is what we are doing with red. So we're going to ask you to paint one hand of nails red. Do you need any help, or are you happy to...
I need help.
You need help? Okay, put your hand right
like
here.
the queen you are.
Like the queen you just love it for you.
And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit more about Glamorizta. Glamorizta are really redefining the luxury experience in a way that feels personal and considered and thoughtful. And through their glam plan, you can access your dream luxury pieces in a way that is stress-free and on your own terms. You can access Glamorizta, all of their socials and their websites in the episode description. You can also reach out to the co-founders on WhatsApp or visit their showroom right here in Four Ways. How are we doing, ladies?
Oh my goodness.
We're doing really good.
We're doing well. But like, these nails are so gorgeous.
Yes. And Khanyisa, I think the first thing as you walked in, you were wearing your Burberry trench coat. So, you clearly know something about luxury and feeling good about yourself. But I want to ask you something. Who is because somebody asked me this a few weeks ago, who's your ultimate fashion icon?
Jeez, there's so many. There's so many. Top of mind, I love Vika Shipalana here in South Africa. She's timeless, she's classic. What a lady. I look at her and I'm like...
But really quietly?
Very quietly.
Very quietly, because she's demure. Yeah. And you, Stace?
Oh, Bessie, I think my favorite, like my icon, is someone we work with. It's my friend. Yasmin.
You reference her
like
quite a lot in your
I
style.
reference her a lot.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, when I get into the office, I'm like, what is she wearing today? Because that's what I'm going to be wearing next week.
We all need that one friend.
I know, right? inspiration on the go.
Yeah.
I told someone that it was actually Rihanna for me.
Oh.
Like, do you know, it's been so crazy. I've been literally like following her career since she was like a teenager and all of her style phases, the rebellious phase, and now she's like in her full-blown mom phase and her family phase and running her business phase. She has a confidence I've never seen before. And I think that's really, really powerful. And it's not what you think. Like, I think when you're a young woman, you always think that, like, you know, you'll never get confidence or it gets worse as you grow
evolve,
up.
right?
Or evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a woman that's evolved massively. So let's get into that.
Yeah, let's get into
Listen.
that. So take us through, Khanyisa, some like introduce us to who you are. And you can, you know, bring into that your corporate role, your role now with Mrs. South Africa. Take us on the journey of meeting you.
Yeah, so I love this red nail part. I'm thinking, why didn't I just go for it? I mean, you know, I grew up in Soweto, very friendly environment. My family was very loving. Part of my childhood started with my grandparents, and they instilled in me a sense of curiosity. So I always wanted to know, like, how do things work? And so when I moved to live with my parents, I was the one breaking a lot of things. So I did science and biology, but I knew I didn't want to be a scientist or a doctor. It's something that I did enjoy. And I think, you know, when you're young, you always want to prove that you're either smart or you can do things and things like that. So I did the hard stuff to prove to other people. And I didn't necessarily nurture the things that I was really creative and easygoing and good at, because, you know, you must do the hard things. So growing up curious, economics found me. I knew I didn't want to do accounting. One of my cousin sisters was doing a CA at the time when I was still in high school, and I thought, I don't think we need two accountants in our family.
That's way too many in one family / in one suburb.
Right? We don't need to all be boring. Not to say all accountants are boring. But I needed something different, and I didn't know what it was. So I went through matric not knowing what I was going to do, but I knew all the things I didn't want to do, which is interesting for a teenager. But that also shows you, at the time, I wasn't exposed to career mentorship. Advice came predominantly from my parents or my family members. And so I went to the University of Johannesburg, registered for accounting because it was one of the commercial subjects that I took. And I knew I didn't want to do science, and that's all I had, science and math. Then I go to my first lecture, and it's on economics. And this gentleman is excited about whatever he's telling us. And I'm like,
supply and demand. It's got to be like that's all I remember from economics.
Ecos 101.
Eco 101, supply and demand.
And I thought, is that how it works? And I can participate actively in the economy? Like, oh, okay, then I want to learn more about this. So I did economics that way. No one in my family knew what economics was, except obviously my sisters who were learned. And my parents said, are you sure about this career? Do you know what you're doing? It's like, well, I'm doing it. I also don't know. I'll find out. These are the careers that you can do. You can be in government and all of that. And they're like, are you sure? It's like, I'm certain of the choice that I'm making, but I don't know what it actually means. Fast forward, got my first role, and I think a deep sense of what I then saw around me. My grandparents, my mother, they were community service people. They were giving of their time, of their skill, of their resources. And when I worked at SARS, I realized that even though I was sitting in my cubicle, I was making an impact for the economy, because all the taxes, the revenues that were going to be collected, whether I did some analysis for it or provided insight, the broader community was going to benefit. And I think that instilled something in me to say, oh, wow, I mustn't look at myself as my life is just for me, my family immediately. I have bigger purpose. And it didn't really make sense at the time, but I just felt a nudge in my heart that you're destined for something, for better contribution or bigger contribution. I fell pregnant, and when I fell pregnant, it was twins. No one in my family had twins, and no one in my none of my colleagues had twins.
Oh my gosh!
Why are you laughing?
I'm just like, no!
Right? So I was so excited also, but also nervous, nah?
Yeah, nervous, I'm sure, because you know, one baby is intimidating for a first-time mom, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, it's double the trouble.
The dose, right? And so I think at the time I didn't understand it, but my manager started to kind of like withdraw me from certain projects because maybe I might need more time or whatever. I don't know. Now that I'm wiser, I believe that maybe she had good intentions to she understood that pregnancy can be challenging or whatever, and you probably need more time. But I felt like I was being dumbed down. So I go to Elizabeth and I say, I feel bored in this role and all of that. Oh, the funny story about that is that I got reduced to doing, maybe reduced is a tough word, but reduced to doing admin work from the data analytics work that I was doing at the time. Simply because maybe she thought I'd need more family time, I think. Yeah. But on the other side, my husband got a promotion. He got an increase in his pay. And I was like, it must be nice to be a man, right? Yeah. Because these are and that I think was the first introduction to gender economics, gender equality and biases for me. But I didn't initially run with it. So I go to Elizabeth, I tell her I'm bored. And I was like, okay, I've got this economics degree. I've already kind of like done project management, research analysis. Now I was in data analytics. I was just floating, doing different things. And I thought, I can't do this admin stuff. I need a better role that will challenge me. And she says, but you know where the economics department was? This was the empowerment part, but I didn't see it at the time. And I was like, but you're an executive. You sit with these people all the time. Can't you just nudge them in the right direction to look my way, and then maybe I can tell them?
Now you know better, right?
Now I know better, and she really empowered me. In fact, she left the organization before I even moved, and I realized that I can't be stuck and then blame it on someone else. In fact, what I was doing was giving my power to someone else, and then so that I could say I'm stuck and I can blame someone and say she didn't make that move for me, or I have proximity to someone who's in a decision-making role and they didn't move for me. But ultimately, I was the one that wanted the change and I needed to make it, right? So now she's gone. And I'm still stuck in this role a year later. And I'm like, I can't drive from Johannesburg to Brooklyn every single day and feel bored. And then I went to this lady. Also, I feel she was an angel for me, Mamiki. I get to her office and I say to her, hi, I've got this degree that I haven't used in a little while and I want to explore it. Do you need help in your team? And at the time, she said yes immediately, but I waited over a year or so to even ask. So it just tells you that if you don't move...
It's literally what we talk about often.
All the time.
You got to ask to get the things.
I mean...
Like the world's not going to just suddenly turn around and be like, oh, there's Khanyisa. I've been waiting for this person who was sitting in admin for all this time.
Yeah. When I first joined, because it's no secret on this podcast that actually we met at work and I was reporting to Stacy. And when I first, one of the first weeks, she was taking me through my induction, she said to me, I'll never forget it, Vesti, you said to me, I have no time for someone not proactive.
I love it.
Tell me what you really think.
She said, go do what you need to do. I'll give you all of it. You have my trust. Go and do what you need to do. But I need someone proactive because I can't have that mental capacity to think how to advance you. You need to tell me and I'll help you achieve what you want to achieve. And I think it's so crazy that your journey, and now having moved through so many boardrooms, I know you spoke about SARS, went to APSA, you're at Alexander Forbes, like such a prolific corporate career sitting in boardrooms, and really an evolution of advocating for yourself and learning to use your voice and control your career trajectory. I want to dig a little bit deeper in that experience of feeling maybe stagnated, feeling maybe disempowered, for lack of a better word, and I think that's fed into how passionate you are about mentorship. Where are the gaps in corporate South Africa, specifically with women?
I think women suffer in silence most of the time because we are generally raised to figure it out, right? Usually, if you think about the gentlemen's clubs, they're a community of easygoing. They will laugh at your mistakes. But for us, we want to be perfect about everything and we want to show up as perfect. I had a conversation yesterday with a colleague and she was telling me she feels stuck as well. She's got this wide network, And one of the networks she has is very close, like a family link that could actually open up further doors for her. And I said to her, you remind me of my own sisters who, because they know that I'm their big sister, they want to show up to me as, see, I've already survived, you can help me now. And maybe I'm not articulating it properly, but the whole point is you don't have to wait till you have figured it out to ask for help as a woman. And obviously corporate wasn't necessarily designed with the woman in mind. And over the centuries, it's evolved, right, to accommodate us, but it's not perfect. And we see it in the leadership roles. We, in my work at APSIP, we advocate for women leadership, particularly in finance, because we know that it drives decisions that build our economy. And women don't last in those roles because you still want to fulfill your homemaking experience. You still want to be present for your children. And if you're married to your partner, you want to be committed to community as well. And some of those roles require you to relinquish the sense of control. And how do you do that? Building relationships that build your community or your village so that you can actually thrive. I saw a recent podcast that went viral that this lady says she only is a 30 minutes or something like that.
Emma Green, I did Greedy, I think, CEO of Skims.
Yeah.
And she said she's only a 3-hour mom or something. What did she say?
And I'm like, she's not wrong, because most women who work, I mean, we sometimes don't even see our kids because, you'll wait till the weekend to have a full day with them because they have sports. But during the day, you know that you are committed as an employee, an employer, a community leader, and then you're a wife. So you're organizing all these things, and without help, you can't be able to do all of them.
You know what I love? You were speaking about community and women sort of supporting one another. And that's actually how we met, right? Through Darshni Padiachi's Table of 12, which is all about women supporting one another through our networks and learning from one another and advocating for each other. And I think that that's so special. But there was an interesting, it cued something in my mind for a conversation that we were having yesterday around, you know what, I'm not going to share my thoughts on it, but I would love to hear yours, is there is a sentiment in sort of social media at large at the moment that women are having so much of a say in the workplace that everything is now in our favor. And I have some very strong opinions, but I would love to hear yours.
Look, we have opportunities, particularly to advance us in education, in mentorship, but really women are over-mentored in corporate. In fact, if you had to compare the amount of mentorship and guidance, it's almost like women just need fixing before they can get their next role. But men are given capital and they run with it, whether they know what they're doing yet or not, right? And I was looking recently at the recent appointments that I've seen, particularly in the financial services sector. When CEOs step into a new environment, they bring their boys. Mm-hmm. And guess what? A friend of mine who's in asset allocation, I said to her, I can see all of the movements that are happening, and I bet you they're going to bring in a woman to be in HR.
Obviously, HR and transformation, obviously.
And not be their peer. Yeah. And it's sad because maybe when I was younger in my career, I used to see these women executives and feel like, I want to get there. But some of them were divorced. Some of them were had ailing relationships with their kids. And because I'm centered in family and value, at the time I thought maybe that's not what I want. But in fact, I hadn't met enough women. And I also didn't necessarily understand the value in having a community that helps you, because to thrive in an environment that is predominantly male dominated, what am I saying? Yeah, but in sectors where men have the decision-making roles, you need to be kinder to the women who make proximity to those levels, because firstly, you're fighting to stay in the role. You're fighting to showcase your excellence, because obviously people are judging you from your outcomes, whereas your peers are probably being judged from character or how they engage with community. Because as you know, for a lot of us, as soon as you become strict, you're an emotional leader, and they reduce you to being more in your feelings than being a powerhouse, because sometimes we operate in soft power as women.
That's true. And sometimes I feel our male counterparts, that very same characteristic is sort of lauded as decisive, you know. So if he's angry and he told all of you that you've not done your jobs or met your KPIs, it's like, oh, okay, this is a strong leader who knows how to discipline and call his team to action. Yet I find with women, it's a very difficult one, Khanyisa. So when I started my career in the commercial law space, one of the very few representations of women who were partners was my principal. I was so excited. And same thing, I just started noticing that there's certain characteristics that she had to embody. She would actually speak about how not able she is to be there for her children on an emotional level. And I remember at the time I was quite judgmental of that because I ended up thinking that she's actually, long story short, I really didn't resonate with her as a leader. And she was actually quite detrimental to my mental health and my career development. And I just thought that she had to embody those characteristics, and she was no really different from the men operating on that level. I just expected more from her.
Isn't it disappointing? I know.
It is disappointing.
It's crushed.
And it's so amazing though when you do see women taking femininity and leading from those characteristics, because it creates a kind of synergy in the business that you don't have when you have these so-called strong male leaders telling everybody what to do and believing that extraction is the best way forward. And I kind of want to come back to that question around workplaces and whether we believe that the rhetoric really is true, that women have so much advantage now. And I said I was going to reserve my opinion because what I want to say is, I just have to say
Say how you feel.
It's that there is a system that was not designed to support women within the corporate. And so now there are mechanisms in place to try and promote women so that there is a level of equality in the workplace. And equality feels so uncomfortable for men because it challenges their privilege. And so suddenly when we're talking about equality, what we're actually talking about to a man with all of that privilege is uncomfortable. And that's my challenge with that. The pendulum has to swing until we can settle somewhere in the middle where everything actually does look something like equal, even though that's technically not possible.
Yeah, and it's a continuous challenge because ultimately, you know, we have to embody that change. I think what has been disappointing, for example, when I said women will raise their hands, yes, they want to become CEOs in these roles. And then when they are in those roles, it's tough, right? And if you don't have community, it becomes even worse because you need a network. And I remember I was I was actually in a webinar, in a conversation where these pioneers of investment firms for women, Black women in South Africa, were saying, when this lady became CEO of that bank for the first time, they were there to help her for her first year. And she has remained in that role for the past many years that she's been in that role. Because when you have the right support, the right network, you are able to stay in the role. So I don't think we have a problem with the playing field being leveled out now. We have people raising their hands and they get the opportunities. I think our staying power is what's in question, because ultimately those environments are not made for us. And when we realize that, you know, it's challenging, then you decide, I don't want to be here for long.
Oh,
And you don't want to die and leave your
feels very
family.
personal right now.
But
Is this an inside joke?
you don't know, this conversation is hitting a little too close to home at the moment. But what I want to ask is, I mean, I think that's such an important point of having community, and I think it's something we take for granted because we don't see the way that maybe our counterparts cultivate community as looking really different from us. But you mentioned the sense of perfection that you've observed in women occupying spaces and stepping into their power. And I am someone who has struggled with perfectionism as I was growing up. And fundamentally, I know that it came from a place of lack of self-confidence. And there was a lack of belief in my abilities. And so I always needed external markers to validate that, you know, I was worth being where I was at. I'm someone that suffered a lot from imposter syndrome. I want to speak about standing in your power and in that confidence, but what does practically that look like? Because we hear it every single Women's Day. We've turned Women's Day or into these very vanity sort of things, or we think it's about self-care. Practically, what does it mean for that confidence to come from yourself?
Listen, and I'll tell you a story. So when I transitioned from SARS, which is a parastatal, but I felt like I was coming from government. I was award-winning, top of my game. I was confident, leading emceeing even some internal events, right? I joined the investment team in the private sector, and suddenly my confidence shifts. Now all of a sudden, I feel less than. This is not the kind of economics I was trained to do. So obviously it was a step for me to learn, right? To transform and become better. But I had the stigma that I self-imposed to say, oh, I come from government. They're going to think, oh, this one and all of that, right? And I always was battling with the connection. And so my confidence level kind of dwindled and it really dropped fast. Then we went into COVID. And I remember sitting in my home, having to present something, having anxiety about the feedback that I had to receive, like, no, this is the investment environment. You have to speak a certain way. You're talking numbers, so you got to speak fast. And you can tell, I mean, I'm very graceful in how I speak. And I remember sitting in my home and I thought, not even Oprah can motivate me out of this one. And I remembered.
What if she asked you to look underneath your chair, though?
Yeah, now I have something for me. A gift for everyone.
So not even Oprah saying check underneath your chair.
No. At that point, I felt nothing could motivate me that was external. And I remember the story my grandmother used to always say, because my grandmother lived in the township. She was displaced because of the kind of, background we come from as a country. And when she settled in Deep Kloof, Soweto, and she would tell us these stories, I didn't think it meant anything until that moment where I felt really crushed. She used to say she worked as a domestic worker at some point, and she was like, Khanyisa, these hands have sparkled homes that I've never even lived in. Like some are double-story houses, some are luxury homes. These hands sparkle everything. Like anything she touches turns into gold. And she believed in herself. And this woman had literally nothing, no education background, but all her kids were first generation professionals. And so I looked at that and said, okay, if she's confident in herself, then her power must live in me as well. And then there's another story. It's not a story, a lived experience. So imagine you're having an event at your home, and we're like relatives. We are invited. My grandmother obviously will always arrive one of the first guests. She's not there necessarily to check what's right, what's wrong. But as soon as her grandkids arrive, or even my parents, my aunts and my uncles, when we arrive at your family event, she will say, oh, Khanyisa, you guys have arrived. They've been waiting for your excellence. Help them. They don't know much what they're doing. Help them see what they're doing. And in my mind, I was like, this girl, firstly, was overworking us. But she believed that when we enter rooms, something will change. And it will be for the better. Not just for us, for her to see, but also for the people we'll be serving. So when I remembered all of that, I was like, okay, so I'm in the space. They were looking for an economist. They got me. And this place is going to be blessed because I'm here. And I'm going to be enriched because I'm going to learn as well. So that's how I rebuilt my confidence. It came from within. I couldn't find it outside because, everyone is different.
Yeah. And can I just throw in just a little extra practical tip, because that is so beautiful. Get yourself a bestie who gasses you up the whole time when your confidence is rock bottom.
Listen.
Because the number of times I have to phone Senna and be like, Senna, this thing happened, and I'm just the worst leader in the whole world. She's like, okay, let's just dial it back.
You're the best.
Let's just go through all the things.
Like, let me actually show you. And I think, I know we laugh about it, but I, as someone who's also like really struggled with self-confidence, it's so not reality. So it's like, okay, you're the worst leader in the world. Let's dial that back a little bit. So so in 2020, didn't you bring in these numbers during COVID? And then 2024, weren't you the highest performing?
So, I'm being serious. Like, it is so wonderful to have a group of people who are there to support one another.
Yeah.
That's really my point. Speaking of which, I really want to get into Mrs. South Africa.
Yay!
Yay. Tell me, okay, firstly, can you just describe the event quite quickly for me? But describe the event, because I have some questions in general, because I don't know enough about it.
Well, Mrs. SA is really what they call an MBA of life. And I can attest to it because my life has kind of like overturned and I've pivoted in all my roles, right? So they empower women to see themselves as the brilliant beings that they are and to show up in a world using that brilliance to exchange or to add value to community and the spaces that they occupy. It's really an empowerment space that helps us women see ourselves differently, but also do business differently, because I think that's what I wanted to gain from the organization. I thought, where I volunteer, usually because it's membership based, I don't necessarily go out to find sponsorship independently. And that was the skill I wanted to learn. Like, how do you convert value to sponsorship, to partnership, to brand promotion and all of that? And ultimately, for me, at least that's my experience of what they do, what they can help me become.
Glamorous networking. Sign me up.
I just really love the fact that, just the discourse around pageants. And you've just described it as an MBA for life. All of those skills that, again, I don't think instinctively, like, we think are so valuable, like building your brand. How do you connect your brand to people and then build yourself?
Right.
It's, again, that self-empowerment that you were speaking about. So it's always good, to be under conditions where you can be empowered. But that agency is absolutely beautiful. You've always been just a woman of agency. I want to speak a little bit about that, because I know you're also really passionate about mentoring the next generation of women. The first time I met you and we had a conversation, I really was at that point in my life where I was just so wide-eyed, and I still am. But tell me a little bit about what showing up for each other, and we're very passionate about this as intergenerational besties, but across generations as women and having honest conversations, the role that plays in our self-actualization.
Yeah. I think, I've met very few people who don't believe in mentorship because they believe in self-actualization. And I always say, for me, it would have never worked because I came from a point where, I had to be perfect first to be validated outside. So I didn't always believe in myself. So it's almost like my soul needed that nudging from somewhere. So personal development played a huge role in showing me that I can associate myself with different types of people. So I have a mentor for my marriage. I've got a coach for my career. I've got a mentor for my friendships, because all these aspects of my life are different and require a certain strength. And not all of my mentors are human beings. Some are books that I've read. Some are podcasts.
Wow.
Sorry, that is totally cute. I love that. That's really, but it's such an interesting
true. I've
perspective.
actually, no one's ever put it like that to me. I think I always tell Stacy there's 3 books that have changed my life forever.
We didn't phrase them as her mentors.
We didn't phrase them as
beautiful.
Actual.
Yeah. So podcasts that I listen to, some are sermons that I will find. But when I do make the human connection, for me, I know. So one of my superpowers is meeting people and immediately getting insight if this person is for me or for someone I'm going to connect them to, or someone I haven't met that will need their skill, their effort, their time, whatever. And I always used to think, maybe I should be in HR, because how do I know?
Yeah, some people are just born to be like that though, hey?
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay, so I'm a connector of people when I meet them. But, for me, it's important to understand who you are. And for me, it was personal development that made me realize who I am and what kind of brilliance I can share with the world. And that then directs me to say, oh, Stacy and them have a podcast. They speak well. I want to learn from them. Then I listen to what they do or follow what they do, right? That's what they say. Follow what the success of the people that you want to do, what they do. emulate that and see if you won't get a little bit of that success.
Oh, formula for life.
So all of these ways you've self-actualized and invested in yourself, has there ever been a moment where you found it very difficult to either invest in yourself emotionally, even like just superficially, what we think is superficial? Do you have moments where you struggle to invest that time in yourself unapologetically?
Listen, and it happens, and I think sometimes my family suffers the most because I'll be out doing my thing, smiling everywhere. I get home, I really need to.
Oh my gosh, I'm the same.
It's
And your
you.
kids bear the brunt of it, right?
No.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah,
I hate that I
all the
reserve
time.
nothing for them at the end of the day, and I've given my whole sparkle to the world. I
feel the
love that
same.
you feel the same. It actually just is so validating.
So we need our own support group.
Yeah. Yes. What are you doing later, Jokes?
So to just go back, and because of that, I have then tried to make myself feel better by over shopping.
Oh my gosh, are we the same person?
And in the past, before, the whole epiphany of, oh my gosh, Khanyisa, you've been making billions of rands in returns for the organizations that you've worked with. My personal finances were a mess, right? You work in finance, but you're not necessarily doing good on your own. And I started rethinking my model of when I want to indulge, let me rather indulge in things that bring me assets and value and returns. So I started simply in my closet, and I looked in my cabinet and even in my pantry. I was like, oh, it looks like I've got a whole group of consumables here that I could get an index fund for. And I looked at them. I was like, okay, I see. I've got this from Woolworths. I got this from Pickup. I got this from Unilever. I got this from, and I'm like, well, then why don't I have some shares here? Why am I always spending and I don't have something that will pay me dividends? So now when I shop, I'm very happy because I know the returns will come through investments and all that.
in buying investments, like you're investing in yourself, like, and supporting the company that is.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think that's such a hack. I want to play a game with you. We love you. We think you are the embodiment of elegance, beauty, and self-confidence and how you show up in the world. So thank you for being vulnerable with us about even the moments when you didn't feel that. But standing outside here, we're fans.
Thank you. I'm a fan.
We want to play a game about this because we also really love your personal style. I think we've mentioned this a lot.
I love Senna's games. I never know what's coming.
Okay, so you have to answer this very quickly. It's this or that.
Oh, this or that.
First thing that comes to your mind, okay? Heels or sneakers?
Heels, definitely.
Heels? But sneakers for me.
Yeah, you
sneakers for me. I'm a sneakers
I'm
girl.
you today. That's why I thought I was under
Really?
this. Yeah.
Oh, look, you guys swapped.
Yeah, we swapped.
The office, if I'm in the office, or then heels. But my go-to is sneakers, specifically, a certain brand I really love. Designer bag or statement outfit? So hard,
This or
right?
that.
Because a designer bag is so.
Oh, so fulfilling.
I know, right?
I want both. Can I get both?
Just one, this or that, quickly. Designer bag, statement outfit.
Statement outfit.
Statement outfit for you. Designer bag, statement outfit.
Statement outfit.
Okay.
You're a bag.
I design a bag, guys. It's so crazy, but even in seasons I'll be like, okay, the bowling bag, the bucket bag, the small Jacquemus bag. I'm such a fan of designer bags.
We arrived at Glamorizta and she was just really, she
like,
just couldn't cope. She was, yeah.
It's like, where's Coach?
Are you breathing?
Minimalist or maximalist? And quickly.
Depends on the mood, right?
Could you be both? Are you
I
the
can
type
be
of
both.
people that get around with both?
I can be both. So depends on the mood. Absolutely.
Okay, Stace?
I think minimalist.
You are definitely minimalist. Okay. I was going to call you out if you said maximalist, and I am a maximalist. I'm more...
there is so much extra happening right now and at all times.
Okay, last one. Soft glam or bold glam?
Soft glam.
Soft glam.
Soft glam.
I really I won't lie to you, I miss heavy glam. I do. I do it for the Gen Z girlies, I do soft glam, but I miss it when we all used to just...
Do you remember? I almost said, do you remember the 80s? Are you thinking like that?
No, I'm thinking 2016.
I mean, I wasn't.
Wow.
Okay, never mind.
Daisies.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I
don't even
know,
know.
I know I said this, but like literally last one because I need to understand. Luxury item or luxury experience?
Experience.
Luxury
Definitely
experience. What about luxury experience
And
get it all
me
one in
to-
Glamorizta?
Why must we choose?
Right?
Why must we choose? I think I can't choose.
Can't choose.
I have to have a luxury item for my luxury experience.
I mean-
because otherwise, what am I showing up with? How does it look authentic?
This is the best. Okay, I want to ask you. Okay, this is a different type, but I'm also gonna this game is so fun. I can't stop. You need to complete the sentence. Okay.
Okay.
I feel most luxurious when.
You go first.
Me
You go first, yes.
When I am. When I'm taking a bath and the house is really quiet because my kids aren't home. Tell me you're a mom without telling me you're a mom.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in my heels and I got my shades, I got my hair done, sleek.
Where are you walking though?
It can be the life is your
Anyway.
runway. honey.
it?
Like
Yes.
when you are in the right outfits, in the right heels. I see it when I'm working in the office. Sometimes I'm like, are you modeling? I'll be walking to the print and I'll literally be like, are you modeling
Catch
right now?
yourself right in the moment. You're like, yes. Would you want to meet you? Of course.
And I'm saying hello to all the grads.
When are you your most luxurious?
Oh, definitely going out to a nice dinner at a very nice, like I feel really like a top adult then.
Nah.
I like being in a
Glamorous.
nice car.
Like the wine.
that's the experience,
farm
right?
is
Okay.
also
And then last one, ladies. Power to me looks like.
authenticity. And I've gone to be authentic because you cannot assimilate in all the spaces that you enter. But I've reached an age where I was like, this is me. You're going to rise to my grace.
Wow. I love that. Stace?
Bringing people along with me. I love
I love that. I love
my
that.
absolute, just brings me all the joy. What about you?
Retaining my softness.
Mm.
That is
In this
very
hard
powerful
world.
to me. There is every reason for us to be ugly and unkind to each other,
Yeah.
and I refuse.
Actually,
Oh, that is so true about you.
Yeah, I refuse.
I was supposed to do this.
Yes.
Instead of clap. And I've been clapping the whole time.
Thank you so much for joining us, Khanyisa. It's been the best interview, so thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to give us a follow on social media and join us for the honest conversations, the beautiful connections, and the bold celebrations. Signing out from Colorful. Till next time.